I'm like, give them more young kids. Do the same thing as soccer. Let the 21 and under play for the Olympics and then create our own international World Cup.
Mark Cuban says the NBA should ditch the Olympics and start its own Basketball World Cup. Not just as a fun summer tournament, he wants this to become the global basketball event. Bigger than the FIBA World Cup, bigger than Olympic basketball, and maybe even, as he puts it, as big as the Football World Cup. Let's break it down. Right now, American NBA players compete in two major international tournaments, the Olympics and the FIBA World Cup. They don't get paid to play and there's no revenue sharing. The only way they earn substantial compensation is through endorsements and potential bonuses for winning medals. The rewards are obvious. You represent your nation at the highest stage, and if you're successful at doing that, you and your country get to call yourselves the best in the world. But some feel like the drawbacks outweigh those potential rewards. The biggest one is the risk of injury, something we recently saw play out painfully in the 2025 NBA playoffs. Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton, who both suited up for Team USA in the 2024 Paris Olympics, ended up with torn Achilles in the postseason.
We saw Tatum, who played in that after going to the finals with the Achilles. You saw Halliburton play in it, the Achilles. Doesn't that have an impact? Like where you're an owner and you're saying, now, I'm paying Embiid $30 million, $40 million. He plays for the Olympics. He comes for me. He's playing 20 games.
I hate it.
What Cuban and the host didn't mention, or perhaps didn't even know, is that both of those guys saw very limited minutes whilst representing Team USA. So using them as an example doesn't really make much sense. Mentioning Paul George's injury in 2014 or even bringing up Steph Curry, who had hamstring issues at the end of the season, would have had more logic to it. But okay, let me first finish explaining Mark Cuban's side of the argument before I tear it apart. His point is, why is the NBA letting outside organizations like FIBA or the IOC profit off their guys for free? NBC just signed a $1 billion broadcast deal for the Olympics. FIBA selling global rights and marketing the hell out of the World Cup. And meanwhile, NBA players get nothing, while teams take on all the injury risk. And in the process, the league itself doesn't directly make a single dime. So instead of playing for free every other summer, Cuban says, let's create our own thing. A basketball version of the FIBA World Cup, but fully owned and operated by the NBA. The biggest stars, the best teams, once every 4 years. Revenue from tickets, sponsors, TV rights, it would all go through the league and get shared with players. No more giving it away to FIBA or the Olympics. And in his dream scenario, the Olympics would probably shift to an under-23 format, just like men's football, so the real action would only be in the NBA's version of the World Cup. Sounds bold, right? But as crazy as it sounds, football somehow did it. FIFA made the World Cup the biggest sports event on the planet, and Olympic football is irrelevant now. So why not do the same thing for basketball? You've got the star power and the NBA's marketing machine. You've got Luka, Giannis, Jokic, Wemby, Shea, Tatum. Imagine all of them playing in one tournament with NBA level production and real money on the line. And one more point, Olympic basketball only has 12 teams. That's it. Plenty of great countries don't even get in. Meanwhile, a custom NBA tournament could have 24 or 32 teams, more games, more reach, and if done right, more prestige over time. So that's the pitch. I'll stop playing the devil's advocate from here on out. But before I do that, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button if you enjoy topics like these. On this channel, we break down stories from an international angle so you get more than what you hear on ESPN. Now let's debunk this Cuban's idea. Here's the thing, as good as it sounds on paper, this whole idea falls apart as soon as you start to think about how basketball actually works around the world. Let's start with the most obvious problem. Basketball is not football. The FIFA World Cup is what it is because of 100 years of tradition, national pride, generational moments, and unforgettable history. What Americans like Mark Cuban fail to realize is that every country plays football. In most places around the globe, every kid grows up kicking a ball, there are leagues in every nation, and is just part of the culture. That's why the World Cup became bigger than the Olympics. Basketball's not there, not even close. In most of the world, basketball is still a niche sport, and in a lot of countries, it's the third or fourth most popular game, if that. And even in places where it's big, the FIBA World Cup is still nowhere near Olympic basketball in terms of meaning or attention. Like, let's be real, even hardcore NBA fans sometimes forget the FIBA World Cup exists. But when it's the Olympics, everybody tunes in, so you're not just trying to build a new tournament. You're trying to replace one of the most iconic stages in sports history. Now, say what you want about injuries and money, playing for your country in the Olympics still means something. A lot of players grew up dreaming of winning gold. It's not just another tournament, it's an honor, and that's especially true outside of the US. Go ask someone in Slovenia what Luka's Olympic run in 2021 meant to them, or how much Patty Mills cares about playing for Australia, or how the 2004 gold medal still defines Argentine basketball. Hell, even as a Lithuanian, the basketball moments that are stuck in my heart are when we almost beat the Americans in the 2000 Sydney Olympics, or when we actually did it in Athens in 2004. Even American players get emotional about it. In 2012, when FIBA floated the idea of turning Olympic basketball into an under-23 tournament, LeBron, Kobe, and others immediately pushed back. They didn't want to lose the chance to represent the US at the highest level. So now imagine trying to force players to skip the Olympics and play in a league-run World Cup instead. What happens when players just say no? Or if stars don't want to play in it or want to play in both and risk injuries anyways. I don't think you can control national pride with a TV deal. And here we get to the most complicated part, the power struggle this would create. This whole thing would basically be the NBA going to war with FIBA. Because right now, FIBA is the global governing body of basketball. I'm talking every national federation, USA Basketball, Canada Basketball, Lithuania, Spain, all of them are under FIBA's umbrella. Plus, FIBA already runs the official World Cup. They also work with the NBA on youth development, international camps, and even help host NBA preseason games overseas. Plus, currently FIBA is heavily involved with the NBA's expansion to Europe too. So if the NBA launched its own World Cup, that partnership would be dead overnight. And FIBA, believe it or not, could hit back hard. They could ban teams from participating, they could prevent federations from releasing players, and they could pressure Olympic committees. It would be a full-blown international mess. And look, FIBA have their flaws, but they have been doing this for decades. They've got the connections, the infrastructure, and the event management. The NBA might have the players, but building this from scratch without international cooperation would be a nightmare. I mean, there's a reason why Adam Silver hasn't touched this idea. In fact, when Cuban did it a few years ago, the NBA did the opposite. They extended their agreement with FIBA, because deep down they know that cooperation makes more sense than conflict. Now let's talk business. Even if you somehow convince the world to buy in, this tournament still wouldn't be bigger than the Olympics. Just think about it. Olympic basketball is a part of a massive 2-week global event with 3 billion viewers. It's broadcast in nearly every country. Even people who don't watch basketball still tune in for the Olympic Games. You can't compete with that by just sticking an NBA logo on it. And you know what? The NBA has been historically benefiting from the Olympics. Every time Team USA dominates or a guy like KD drops 30 in the gold medal game, the NBA wins. Ratings go up, jerseys sell, and more kids start playing. You can't put all of that on a spreadsheet, but it all matters. The entire international explosion of basketball can be traced back to 1992, the Dream Team. And that was because of the Olympics, not some made-up tournament. The Olympics put the NBA on the global stage in the first place. So let's be honest, this whole thing isn't about players or fans, it's about money. Cuban is just mad that someone else is cashing the check. It's the same logic behind every studio launching their own streaming service. Why let Netflix make money off of our stuff when we can do it ourselves? But guess what? Half of those services failed because the audience doesn't care about your revenue split. They care about the product, the stories, the history, and the stakes, and right now the Olympics still delivered that. If you ask me, I just think this whole idea is not realistic. You'd need to build a new tradition from scratch, get every country on board, convince players to skip the Olympics, and somehow create an event with more meaning than the Olympics. All while navigating global politics and international governing bodies. It's not happening, and even if it did, I'm not sure fans would care, because guess what? Money is not why we love basketball. But what do you think? Do you see a scenario where this would actually work? Or maybe FIBA themselves should at least try to get their World Cup out of the Olympics shadow. Drop those thoughts in the comments below, hit the like button if you can to help our channel grow, and as always, subscribe for more NBA takes through an overseas lens.